Okay, so before we get started, I just want to take this opportunity to clear something up. Ever since this game was announced, people have been wondering, what happened to Mr. Resetti? Well, the bad news is he did lose his job, but the good news is he found a new one. Now he's working for me as my editor. Problem is, though, he's not very fond of things closing unexpectedly, so I'm not sure how Vegas Pro is gonna work out for him. Well, guess that answers that. We've all dealt with stress, or some forms of anxiety. And with the epidemic being what it is, people are doing whatever they can to relax and get their minds off things. But for gamers, there's no better place to go for escapism than Animal Crossing New Horizons. Except maybe Doom Eternal, but Ray told me to look at this game, so that's what we're doing. Yep, this is a Patreon request. For pledging to my $15 Superstar Supporter Plus tier, my close friend Ray is responsible for the video you're watching right now. Thanks, Ray. I hope you accept these trash bags as a token of gratitude. But anyway, what can you say about Animal Crossing? Well, I can tell you that the series was created by Katsuya Iguchi, who wanted to make a game that reflected changes in lifestyle, taking inspiration from his own real-life experiences. This led to him creating Dobotsu no Mori, or Animal Forest, released in Japan for the Nintendo 64 in 2001, before being brought to the rest of the world in the form of a GameCube game known today as Animal Crossing. And obviously from there, it spun off into another successful IP for Nintendo to add to their catalog, a franchise spanning multiple console generations with widely beloved titles, and others best left forgotten. I'd been aware of these games since I first saw commercials for Wild World in the mid-2000s, but truth be told, I've only been an active Animal Crossing fan for about 7 years. I jumped on the boat with Animal Crossing New Leaf for the 3DS around the time it came out in North America, so when Animal Crossing New Horizons came out for the Switch on my birthday of all days, I jumped on that as well. When going into this video, I wasn't really sure how to approach a game like this. New things are always happening in the world of Animal Crossing, and new content is still on the way, meaning this video is most likely going to be outdated as soon as I upload it. So instead of giving this game a traditional review, I'm going to go over how it plays, what there is to do so far, and dive a little bit into what my first 2 months with it have been like. And for the record, I did do some time skipping, but please don't discourage me or anybody else for doing so. Just let people play the game how they want. Okay? Okay. Good. Every single Animal Crossing game on a surface level is more or less the exact same thing. It's basically a life simulation game where you live the life of this character who's the only human living in a town populated by animals. Aside from having to do some work for Sugar Daddy Tom Nook here and there, you don't really have a set goal to accomplish. You can catch bugs, you can go fishing, you can donate creatures and fossils to a museum, you can sell things at the store, you can chat with the other villagers in town, you can buy furniture for your house and clothing items for your character, and that's it really. But it's the peaceful, simplistic nature of Animal Crossing that gives every installment their own endearing qualities. So while the gameplay and core mechanics stay consistent for each title, there's always something different to make them stand out. In New Horizons, you and your villagers live on a deserted island as part of a getaway package offered by Tom Nook's new travel company. And you, as the player character, are chosen as the island's spokesperson, meaning it's up to you to help make island life for your villagers as luxurious as possible. According to my passport, I am Marc, a creative something or other, hailing from the island of Anytown. Marc, could you please say a word or two as the new spokesperson for your neighbors? A word or two. Huh, well, they seem to like that. So, like in previous games, you start out small.
You don't have much of a house, and there aren't a lot of things to do or characters to talk to. With me having spent hundreds if not thousands of hours on New Leaf, of course I was anxious to get to the good stuff. And there's a ton of options at your disposal, and I mean a ton, as you'll soon find. But the game doesn't just throw them at you all at once. It slowly eases you into the setting and gradually warms you up to the new mechanics, while still giving you enough things to do from the beginning so that it doesn't feel slow or drawn out. Considering what there is to do as you progress, I think it's more than worth the wait. You can do just about everything you could do in previous Animal Crossing games, and characters you might have met in other titles are back, along with some new faces. My heart soared when one of my New Leaf villagers, Daisy, moved to my island since she was a personal favorite of mine. And then there's the Sea Sports live streamer CJ, and a struggling artist named Flick, who you can commission to make models of whatever kind of bugs you bring him.
As a struggling artist / online personality myself, I should feel proud to have my people represented in a game like this. But honestly, I'm just baffled by the fact that a chameleon has better luck at being commissioned for art pieces than I do. Also, random shout out to Sprocket. He's not one of my villagers, but I just wanted an excuse to make a robot chicken joke.
Many of the same tools you had in the other games are once again available, and there are even some new ones to play with too, like a ladder to climb up to higher platforms, and a vaulting pole that lets you yeet yourself across rivers and ponds. This time, however, they decided to take a note from Breath of the Wild and have your tools be incredibly fragile. Using items like a shovel or a net or a fishing rod too many times will eventually cause them to break. Replacing them shouldn't be too much of an issue since you can still buy them from the shop, or you can make them yourself using the game's crafting system. As you go around collecting stones and tree branches and other materials, you can take them to a DIY workbench and craft them into different types of tools and furniture. This reminded me a lot of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, where you can send materials to Cyrus and have him craft furniture for you. But in order to craft anything here, you need to learn how to do it from its DIY recipe, which you can purchase from the store or find them in a... At first I thought this would feel a bit tacked on, since crafting systems are pretty much everywhere nowadays, but the game treats it more like a means to an end. It's not something you utterly need to rely on to get the most out of your playtime, but the option is there should you want to make an ocarina to help blow your friend's eardrums out. Speaking of which, there's an airport run by a dodo named Orville where you can fly to other players' islands or open a gate to welcome players onto your island. From my experience, the online play has surprisingly been pretty stable. I've had no slowdown, no crashes, no communication errors. Okay, one communication error, or if you have friends that live on your island, you can partake in some local co-op. Although it's much more limiting since not every player is able to do certain things when they're not the leader. Plus, there was one time where I got stung by a horde of wasps after their nest fell out of a tree, and then my brother Mike took it. So maybe I'm a little salty. I was gonna sell that thing, you jerk! And why did you go into Shari's house and just leave after 2 seconds? And stop humping my cock! I'm sorry, my brother's weird. Back at the airport, you can also use a Nook Miles ticket to have Orville's brother Wilbur, I see what you did there, fly you to a separate island where you can gather more materials and catch some more bugs and fish. Every time you use a Nook Miles ticket, the island you go to is always different, and once you leave, you can never go back there again. At least that's what I think, because I swear I've been to some of these more than once already. But what are Nook Miles? Well, they're essentially a secondary form of currency. Bells can still be earned from selling stuff and used to buy even more stuff, but you're rewarded with miles for completing certain tasks. Remember the Meow coupons in Animal Crossing New Leaf? It's kinda like that, but miles can be redeemed at the Nook stop in the Residential Services building for some exclusive items, like Nook Miles tickets, vouchers to increase your inventory space, and a tool ring feature that lets you switch between your favorite tools much easier. Requirements that need to be met to earn extra miles can be found in the Nook Miles app on your Nook phone. This handy little contraption is given to you as part of the getaway package, and it keeps track of all the DIY recipes you've learned, custom designs that you've made and downloaded through the Switch Online app, creatures you've caught and or donated to the museum, and even has a photo mode.
You see what I meant when I said there were tons of things to do in this game? Well, it doesn't even stop there. The Able sisters are back, and now their shop has a fitting room where you can look through an assortment of different clothes. The museum is much bigger and more elegantly designed than before, and fossils, bugs, fish, and art pieces each have their own uniquely themed exhibits. Funny how Blathers called this butterfly wretched and then called it a beautiful creature, but look, a yellow submarine! Beatles joke! Daisy May shows up on Sundays to sell turnips. KK Slider shows up on Saturdays and sings his little doggy heart out for me and my villagers. Scorpions and tarantulas appear at night, and you can catch them to make a fortune from selling them at Nook's Cranny. Unless you're dead, in which case that's a you problem. And oh my god, it's Isabelle! She works at Residential Services with Tom Nook, and she sings! What the hippity-hoppity hell was that?
On top of the sheer amount of content presented, New Horizons gives you quite a lot of freedom in terms of customization, more so than any other Animal Crossing game before it. You get to pick a layout for your island, you can decorate it with furniture and other items, you can move your house to a different location, you can even add or remove rivers, cliffs, and pathways to change it up even further. And that's not all. Previous games had it so you could only change your character's clothing and hairstyles, but now you can freely change up their entire look, from their face, skin color, and even gender. The other games would randomly decide on a layout for your town and how your character looked, so if you were given results that you weren't entirely happy with, well, there was nothing you could do about it. This game is far more generous on that front, and I think the level of freedom here perfectly encapsulates what New Horizons means to me as an Animal Crossing fan. It retains many staple aspects of the series, but streamlines them in ways that make the overall experience feel fresh and delightful. It's like I'm playing newly for the first time all over again. That feeling you get from interacting with villagers, whether it's hearing them sing as you walk past them, or moments like this where the Able sisters reminisce about their late parents' shop and the memories it left them, it's so wholesome that I can't even put it to words. It's just the kind of feeling that only Animal Crossing knows how to give you. These games are all about appreciating the simple things in life, like sitting by a river and going fishing. When the fish decide to cooperate. Normally I love going fishing in this game, and catching them is pretty straightforward. Cast your line and reel it in. Oh god! But sometimes I couldn't tell if they were just being extremely stubborn or really stupid. I've had fish turn away from my line right as I cast it, and other times when my lure was right next to them, they would either swim away or just turn in the opposite direction like they don't even notice it. Oh look, I just spent 2 minutes trying to catch this one fish, and all that just for carp. Well, at least it's not that common. I can't imagine what else I could have caught to make things more annoying.
Allow us to introduce ourselves.
Alright, I'll take the carp. But that's something I can totally overlook. Animal Crossing New Horizons is absolutely wonderful, and easily the best Animal Crossing game to date. It's exploding with all the same charm and lovability that the series is known for, and stuffed to the brim with enough fun gameplay mechanics to fill the Albert Hall. And somehow they're still gonna squeeze some more in there. Like I said near the start of the video, new features are gonna be added through free updates. By now we've had the Bunny Day stuff, Leaf appears on your island to sell shrubberies, which is especially good for members of the Knights who say ni. Red sells paintings and statues on his boat, though some of them aren't exactly legitimate. And recently there was the Mayday tour, where you could run through a maze and meet up with Rover at the very end. Woo! You made it in, buddy!
Yeehaw.
Might I also bring up just how gorgeous this game is? Not only is it the best looking game in the series, but it's one of the best looking games on the Switch in general. The lighting, the colors, the model quality. It's so rewarding to finally get an Animal Crossing that looks like this and plays like this. It really makes me hate Amiibo Festival even more. As if I didn't have enough reasons to hate that game already. Keeping with presentation, I am wholeheartedly in love with the music. It's calming, atmospheric, and a great collection of songs to vibe to while I work. As time goes on and more updates get released, there are some improvements I'd like to see be made, albeit minor improvements. The Nook Stop, Nook's Cranny, and the Able Sisters all each provide a different selection of things to buy every day, but more often than not, I would find their inventories a little lackluster. They have some cool stuff every now and then. I would just like to see more that closely relates to my interests. And maybe don't put eggs in the water again. Seriously, I hated catching those.
But I still love this game regardless. In fact, I'd even go so far as to call it one of my new favorite games of all time. I've been loving it so much, I have a whole live stream series dedicated to it. For those that don't know, I'm playing it twice a week, or trying to. Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, streaming it live on YouTube. It's been a great way for me to get to interact with you guys. I'm having so much fun with it, and I really appreciate all the letters you've been sending me. Like this one that just says, yes. Yes, indeed, Mr. Cake Dive. Yes, indeed. If you're someone who's never touched an Animal Crossing game in your life, definitely give this one a shot. This is already getting tons of new people hooked on the series, and I'm sure it'll do the same for you. Huh. My plumber sense is tingling. That must mean... I need to take my medication! Oh, and Summer of Mario is starting next month, so I'm gonna take some time off to prepare for it. So, yeah. And god damn it, Mike's humping the cot again!
Haldo! Thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, a very special thank you to the patron, whose name is scrolling across the screen right now, as well as my superstar supporters for this month, Henry Newman, Jake Winans, and Rachel Rodriguez, whom this video wouldn't even exist without. If you'd like to support me as well, if you haven't already, then please consider pledging to my Patreon page, or if you're watching this on YouTube, become a sponsor by clicking the join button. Patreon is really cool because you can pledge $15 to have me review whatever game you want me to cover, and it doesn't matter what console it's for, what franchise it's a part of, it doesn't matter what game you choose, I have to make a video on it, no matter what. But you also get some other rewards as well, like you can see videos a day before they come out, you can have your name listed in the special thanks section, and you get access to some Patreon exclusive videos, like some behind the scenes stuff, you can read the scripts to my videos, and in the future, maybe I'll do some Patreon exclusive reviews, you never know. But this is all totally optional, you don't have to support me on Patreon if you don't want to, or if you're unable to, I won't force you to do it, but it would absolutely mean a lot to me if you were to consider it. So, like I said before, I'm going to be taking a little break just so I can put more time into getting Summer of Mario ready for next month. I'm really excited about it. I got some pretty fun videos planned, some big ones too, so hopefully I can get those done in time. But if you're new here and you want to stay tuned in for all that, then please consider hitting the subscribe button, and if you do, then don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of future uploads. Or if you're watching me on Vlare, then just follow me, subscribe, whatever the terminology is. Links to my social media and Discord server, as always, are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and with that said, this is Mark, bidding you all a smashing farewell. Bye, guys.